trying to get crazy when they sing. Don't you know I'm loco?
The Fairfax era was unbelievable.
That was before
I could talk about that for
I didn't
hours,
even know either of them yet. But when they were all over there at Will.
So that's when Triggs and I started getting close. Art shows, and he was always on the block over there.
Yeah.
You know, I got to
He was
meet.
very, very high profile.
100%, bro.
He knew everybody, and everybody knew
Everybody.
What's happening, everybody? This is Bobby Tribal, aka Bobby Ruiz, and once again, it's time. Believe it or not,
that's my cue, right?
Yep,
the Lower
time.
Left Podcast.
That's right.
17th and Island,
San Diego, California. It's been more than a minute. I think this is the biggest pause that we've taken, but it's been.
The world's changed. Lots changed, right?
Yeah. It's man, dude. When was the last time we did one?
I don't remember. I think it was Mr. B Baby.
Oh yeah.
That's the last
Mr.
one.
B Baby. Shout out to her. And then I recorded one with Bill McMullen that still has to drop.
Yeah, I have that.
Artist for Def Jam and OG Tribal artists. But
that's been like 3-4 months.
at least.
Yeah.
At least. And then there's been weddings. There's been a lot of traveling.
Yeah, how was Moon Eyes?
Moon Eyes was really dope. Really dope. Japan's always fun. Japan was really, really cool. And
that's number what?
Dude, in the 40s.
40 sometimes going to Japan.
I think at least probably. Well, first time I went was 94, and it's been at least sometimes 2-3 times a year in the early days. And then as I got older, it was at least once a year. And so I'm only 30 now. So,
yeah.
but anyways, yeah. And then, just Isaac got married, so we were working on the wedding.
Yeah, I was talking with him earlier about how beautiful it was. How him and Bobo are really good speakers.
Yeah,
they speak eloquently with command. Like they're not nervous. I'm like, man, and then you, a little on the shy side when it comes to large crowds and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I wasn't ready for that, and there was a lot going on in my head that day. But it was a beautiful ceremony in Sebastian. I'll put it like this, that within 2 hours I gained a daughter and an angel that shout out to my niece, Brianna, rest in peace. So she passed that same day. So that was a really trying day for me, but at the end of the day it was beautiful, and it is what it is. But and then right after that, I think I went to Japan, right?
Mm-hmm.
A couple of days later, and then I came back for like a week, not even a week, and then left again to go hunting in Texas and spend a week out in Texas.
Did you hit anything?
I didn't, because I was being real picky this year. I wanted to get something bigger than I got last year. But my nephew did, and my cousin did, and we had a blast. It was insane. But today's kind of a real special day here in the building, and things just kind of happen this way here sometimes. And that's, you and I have seen it happen a lot of times where we know people are going to show up, or we'll do an event and we'll be like, oh, we got to make sure the podcast room is ready. But we got some real heavy hitters / influencers / great tattooers / really good friends in the building today. So just upstairs right now, we've got, Flox is here, Steve-O's here, Edmar's here, of course Isaac's here, young Joey Mota's here, and then who did I forget?
Lexi's out there.
Lexi's out here for sure. Yeah, shout out to him. And Adrian from Miami, who's a beast. And I got Johnny Sweats right here sitting next to me. And of course, all the regulars that are in the building. Avocado Migs is in the building. So everybody's like up in here. But the guys we got at the desk right now, these dudes, if you're in the tattoo industry, you know who they are. They're beasts in their own right, and have established a name with their great work and a reputation, in the tattoo industry. They tattoo out of, you guys are out in the valley, right?
Yeah, I'm on the valley.
Out in the valley,
San
Los Angeles.
Fernando Valley area.
San Fernando Valley, in loving memory tattoo. We got young Chavo. Are you still young?
I like to think of it.
I think he turned 30.
Yeah, young.
Yeah.
It's just Chavo.
Chavo. At some point,
I'm gonna write it on as long as I can.
There you go. Right.
So it really starts like,
Yeah,
I'm not so young anymore.
Yeah.
Around us, he's the young.
Yeah.
And
it still fits.
And Huero.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah.
Was
Chilling,
good.
man. Chilling. Happy to be here, man.
Dude, it's good to have you guys in the building. Chavo has been here before.
Yeah. It's not a long time coming for me.
Yeah. And we've been talking about it for a long time, but you're busy, and I know you've got a family and kids and all that kind of prioritized stuff like we do as good men.
Yep. It's hard to make it out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. But it's good to have you down here, and
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
And Flox kind of helped put this one together.
Yeah, he kind of.
Yeah, no, it worked out good.
Right?
Yeah, he was guilt tripping me. He's like, "Well, I already told Bob you were coming." So
that does not sound like Flox.
No, he was on both of us. He's like, "Are you coming on Thursday? You coming on Thursday?"
Oh shit, he did it. He just nailed him right now.
Yeah.
He did the head move. And everything. Yeah, but actually Flox was out there in Japan with us too, and he had his eye on a watch and a little bit of jewelry, so he made it down. But you guys, man, so I guess I'll start with the youngster. So so you grew up in that area in the valley?
Yeah, I grew up in the valley in Tahunga. Very smaller city over there. But yeah, in the valley.
And then how did the art start? Like, how did you start?
I've always been drawing since super young. Like, always had an interest in drawing. Really started liking lettering. Like, as I got a little older, tagging, graffiti, all that type stuff. And then, when I was like fresh out of high school, I just seen how lettering was really like coming out into the tattoo scene, and just like really coming, like dudes like Norm and Boog and Flox, like were on the forefront of like really making lettering a thing in tattooing, and I was just amazed by it, and that kind of just fell in love with it and just took over.
So those were you'd say those were your first influences, those cats you just mentioned?
They were definitely some of the first people I saw doing custom lettering and tattooing it. Like I'd never even thought about or seen anything like that with a tattoo, at least before I seen them doing it like online and magazines and stuff like that.
Do you mean more like by custom lettering, like gangster styles, graffiti styles, scripts,
all types of different,
like it all goes.
Yeah, like seeing Norm was probably like my biggest like holy shit, like this dude's doing the most, like he's doing block letters, he's doing script, he's doing just all different types of lettering, but in tattooing, and like I had never seen anything like that before, and I was like, damn, this is dope. Like I fuck with this.
Yeah, definitely a legendary dude, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Norm went across the board and had his own style, and he developed one of those dudes that he was one of those guys that I always tell people, when you really make it in graffiti or lettering, and you can look at somebody's letters or somebody's piece, and you don't have to read their name.
Yeah, you just know
you can tell.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the way Norm had his letters, or you could look at a cartoon tattoo or a Mike Giant drawing.
Yep.
And that's when I think you've really established yourself as an artist or a tattooer or whatever it is. But that's kind of those guys that you just mentioned, like Boog, like Norm and Flox and all those dudes you just mentioned had that. And I think it's really cool that you had that eye as a kid to really notice that,
Yeah, it's definitely something that we all strive for. You know what I mean? Like when I put my work out there and I send somebody off into the world, you know what I mean? I run into people all the time and they're like, oh, I was at the mall and somebody asked, did Huero do that? You know what I mean? And if someone knows, especially somebody that's not an artist, we all know. You know what I mean? I know a Norm piece from across the street.
Right.
But for just a regular tattoo collector or somebody that gets work to be walking and see something and know like, oh, Chavo did that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the goal. You know what I mean? Like anybody can duplicate anything, but
and there's a lot of that out there.
Yeah, to create something that's going to stand out in the midst of all this talent and all this, you know what I mean? I mean, you're trying to reinvent the wheel, you know what I mean? Like everything's been done before, but to be able to, you know what I mean? And that's what I think he means about Flox and Boog and Norm for sure. Like those guys set the bar really high and they took all this stuff that was already out there and put their own spin on it and put their own, you know what I mean?
But you're right, by reinventing the wheel. That's the challenge, man, is to try to do something new and different and something that not just the tattoo consumer will recognize, but I always tell people, like in music, there's music for musicians or musicians music or tattooers for tattooers. Like the tattooers that your colleagues and people in that community recognize you as, oh shit, you know, and I think that's a little more prestigious than, you know, I don't know.
No, I get you.
You know what I mean? Like to be recognized by your peers as being like, and that's why you guys have been able to establish yourselves as who you are. And I think, you know, because of your style and not just that is, I think in anything, it's really important the way you carry yourselves and
course,
you know, being a good person, I think has a lot to do with it too. Sure. So you used to do graffiti? You did graffiti like tag?
Yeah, we were just on the way over here where it was like, probably like, I don't know how many years ago now, but me, him, and Flox, Alloy, a bunch of us were all painting in this spot, and like we got, you know, cops pulled up and fucking had us in cuffs and everything. And I was like, oh shit, remember we almost got arrested right here.
Nice.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't paint as much as I should, you know, but I still go out. Like I went out a few months back, and there's this big abandoned building that me and Fate and a bunch of the homies hid and did a bunch of cool stuff in. So
nice.
Yeah, I still try to get it in when I can.
Nice. Yeah, that's fun, man. There's been that common denominator across a lot of the artists that we work with. There's the graffiti, and then you'd be really surprised how much skateboarding comes into it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All that shit goes together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially
in Southern California.
Yeah, come on, bro.
It's
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, any neighborhoods from LA to San Diego, it's all integrated. You know what I mean? You got somebody next door gangbanging, and then the skateboard kids across the street, and then, you know, the backpack kid with the peace book that, you know what I mean? Like,
and they're all mixed together.
Yeah, we all go to school together. Like, we're all, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Dudes gangbanging on skateboards.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, 100%.
You see it all you know, all over the place. Or for me personally, I discovered, and I don't mean I discovered it, but I for the first time I saw lowriding, it really, really caught my attention. I was skateboarding just in the neighborhoods and just kind of like, what the fuck? With like just being a little kid and it catching my eye and stuff like that. So who brought you into the game? Like, your tattoo machine? Like, how did you get into tattooing and take it from your love for like graffiti and lettering and into tattooing?
Before I even knew anybody in the tattoo industry at all, and just like had an interest in tattoos, you know, I knew I wanted to get tattoos when I was older from a young age, you know, like, but me and my cousin had built a machine, like a handmade machine, and I was fucking around with that for a little bit, but like, just, you know, like fucking, you know, like whatever,
like a lot of motherfuckers were just,
you know,
do this.
Yeah.
And he was down with it, so I was like, cool, let's figure it out, you know. So we like, and it was funny too, because we got it built, and like right when I was about to start, my uncle came in and was like, what the fuck are you guys doing in here, you know? Like, and we're like, oh man, like, you know, can't tattoo now. But yeah, me and him had built a machine, and then eventually I think I bought this like really shitty machine on like eBay with a little kit that it came with, and just crappy supplies, you know, from wherever.
Yeah.
But I didn't really tattoo anybody before. Like, I had fucked around like on family members and certain friends and stuff like that, but I didn't really like try to do anything too crazy. Like, I wasn't trying to do like back rockers and stomach shot, you know, like I was just doing little tiny like stupid tattoos, you know, on people.
Coil machine?
Yeah. No brand name though, you know, like that's what I'm saying. It was just like a shitty whatever. But yeah, and then eventually once I graduated high school, I was like gonna try and go like the sports route eventually. Like that's what I was working on in high school.
What did you play?
I played baseball, varsity
nice.
baseball, my whole high
So
school.
you're a Dodger fan.
Oh hell yeah! Hell yeah!
See, it's been that long since we've done a podcast.
They haven't got to talk about the.
We don't need to talk.
we haven't talked shit.
But what's really cool?
See the hats.
Yeah.
But what's really cool is that I enjoy that rivalry.
Oh yeah,
Like
Yeah.
it's cool how what it's developed into because it was never really like
I just
that.
don't like when people get serious.
Nah,
and fight
yeah.
and get.
It's all good and
stupid.
fun.
Plus, you guys are from LA, so it's cool. But people from San Diego that are LA fans.
Hey, talking to the champs right now. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'm sure some converted after.
But
this.
the Dodgers will tell you that the game was getting past the Padres. That was their world. That was their world.
That was us.
Yeah,
we were watching it.
And it was the most. That was honestly
as
the
long as
most
we
entertaining.
take this part of the series,
you got
we're
it.
good.
Yeah. And it was kind of like if whoever took that would have taken it.
Yeah.
But,
For sure.
but no, shout out to the what's it? What are they called?
Who?
The Dodgers?
The champions?
The winners?
Yeah. The winners of the World Series. Yeah.
Nah, congratulations. But it was happy. I was happy because I knew the players. By the time I'm watching, usually when I watch a World Series, I don't know the team.
Yeah.
Like I know the Dodgers.
Same.
It's like you know who's who and what they're capable of, and when they come to the plate. And
it's cool too because Manny, Machado used to be on the Dodgers, and there's all different little.
What did you play? What position did you play?
I pitched, and then
no shit.
Yeah, because I'm a lefty, so that was like my primary that I was focusing on, and then I played first whenever I wasn't pitching.
Nice.
Yeah.
When's the last time you picked up a baseball?
Shit. It's funny. Me and the homie Stress, because he's a big baseball fan too, and we were at the shop, and he's like, "Hey, bring your glove, man. Like I want to throw around." And I'm like, "Fuck, man, I haven't thrown a ball in like 5-6 years, And It was funny, but yeah, it's definitely.
But it's good that you understand the game. Like a lot of times, just watching it over the years, your degree of understanding how things work in the
For
game,
sure,
and all the little things
becomes
that go on.
more entertaining.
Yeah.
When you know what's going on.
Yeah.
I remember watching football and baseball when I was a kid. I'm like, this is whack. But the more you. Get involved, and the more you understand about it, the more entertaining it is.
And that's a blast. I mean, I have shout out to my homie Bobby Romero because him and I just like he's the big Dodger fan, and I think you guys know Bobby. You know Bobby Solis.
Oh yeah,
of course.
Yeah, so Bobby and I we watch the games and we send each other pictures and we talk shit.
Yeah. But that's how it should be.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
How fun would it be if you didn't have a rivalry?
That's what I'm saying.
It's competitive.
I have season tickets to the Rams. I don't really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a Rams fan because it's LA. You know what I mean? Like, who am I going to root for? You know what I mean? But when I was growing up, I was a fan of players. So I liked the Lions because of Barry Sanders. I liked, Tampa Bay because Sapp was on there at one point. You know what I mean? There were but when the Rams came back, I was like, fuck it, let's, start going. But when I'm at the games, I hear all that, like, I tell people, it's not that serious. If my team loses, I'm still having a great day. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to fight with you here in the stadium because you're a 49ers fan. I'm going to fight with you because of something you say disrespectfully in the parking lot, maybe. You know what I mean? But if your team wins, good for you. I'm happy you came out with your family and had a great day. You know what I mean? That's what it's about for me. But then again, I'm old.
We have a blast from it. Like, if you guys ever want to do Dodger games.
Petco.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's right here.
Yeah. I've stayed over here.
Yeah, I've never been to a game over here.
It's a nice stadium. It's like 4 blocks from here.
You don't want to go with us.
Yeah. Bobby comes down, like, we go, and we'll go with Dodger fans. Yeah.
Those are the best games down here.
I bet,
It's a beautiful stadium. Yeah. I stayed in a hotel, actually, and from my room, you could see inside of the stadium.
Yeah.
Dope. Yeah.
So real quick though, I never asked a Dodger fan, who do you hate worse, the Padres or the Giants?
I think right now it's more on the Padres.
More on the Padres.
Yeah. But it's not even a hate.
No,
it's like that's the rival. Yeah, exactly. Like the Giants just kind of fell off, you know? Like it's not the same how it was.
You can't spend your time kicking around stuff for a team that's not doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what I think intensifies the rivalry too is the amount of videos that come out on Instagram of Padre fans and Dodgers slapping each other, hitting each other with beers and shit. Yeah.
And then you got homies like the Fools Gone Wild.
It's just amping it up.
Instigating. Like just pushing it around. But so that it's been that long. That's cool, man. I didn't know that. So baseball. So you were good? You were gonna go to college?
Yeah, I was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a decent shot at playing college ball and getting looked at by a couple, different schools and stuff, but I just wasn't a big person back then. Like, I'm not very, I'm skinny and, I wasn't as quite as tall as I was or I am now. But yeah, I remember just going to like colleges and seeing these dudes that are playing, and I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna. Like these guys are throwing 95 miles an hour. Like I had a lot of movement. Like that was like my little niche. Like is that I could like, I could get dudes out, but I don't throw 100 miles an hour, So it was just like, I don't know. After I graduated, I just kind of like, I just wasn't enjoying it as much either because I was like focusing on it for so hard, like for those 4 years, like, okay, this is what I'm going to, put everything into pretty much. And I just kind of, I don't know, I was over it. So then really started getting into like tagging and everything more than I already was. And then, yeah, little by little, I had started getting tattooed when I was in high school. And then when I graduated, I started getting tattooed by this one dude up in like Palmdale, my homie Nathan. And he knew that I wanted to learn how to tat. And so he would like kick me game like every time I would go up there and get tattooed. He would like, teach me little things, that I would ask him about or whatever. And I was going to try and apprentice under him. That was like the goal. But it was just kind of far from where I lived to where he was. It was like an hour and a half. It would have been a mission for me to, get over there all the time and be there. So he just had eventually told me, he's like, hey, if you want to apprentice, man, like you should like just do some research, find a decent shop in your area that has people like that are doing stuff you want to learn and that you feel like it's a good place to, start from. And so I was like kind of thinking about, that like which shop would be a good place for me to go. And I like just thought about it like, oh shit, like Trigger Shop. I grew up in Tahunga.
Oh,
Tunerville's the hood right there. So I always knew who he was, like growing up, knew who Triggs was. And
he was from Pacoima, right?
No, he was from Tunerville.
Oh,
TVR.
okay. Where's that at?
It's more like Glendale.
Areas.
Yeah, they have a couple different areas. At Water Village, like
Chevy Chase Park. Yeah. And then they have a couple other established cliques
I don't know
outside
that
of their
area
neighborhood.
well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Tahunga is such a small city over there. Like it's right next to Pacoima and all that, but it's a good 15, 20 minutes away from over there.
Tahunga's isolated.
Yeah, it's like up in the hills almost, like in the mountains, kind of almost to the mountains.
So you got in with them?
No, not with them, but with Triggs, like
that's what I meant.
Yeah, oh yeah. So I hit him up on Facebook. He had like just got out. And I was like, hey, man, like, I'm trying to apprentice. I don't know if you guys, and even that, I think about it now. I'm like, it's so dumb. Like, I'm just asking him for an apprenticeship, but just the way,
you were young,
like,
though.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm like, fuck, man, if some kid asked me for an apprenticeship and I didn't know him off the bat, I'd be like, kick rocks, like, but he was cool about it. He was like,
a different time.
Yeah.
And it worked, right? Like,
it did. It worked out good.
So, that was good that you had that enough. You can call it what you want, but that was confidence, and that was like you wanted to do something, and you knew who to talk to. So, that's a good thing. And the shit ain't just gonna come to you. You gotta go get it.
Yeah. And it was just like a big thing because like the graffiti stuff for me, I was like, oh, this is fucking Triggs from MSK. Like this is a big big deal. And I'm like, this is kind of intimidating. But I just threw it out there, and then he told me, like bring in my artwork of stuff, whether it was tattoos that I had done or drawings. And I didn't, like I said, at that time I hadn't done any tattoos that were like worthy of photographing or any, it was just,
that's where everybody starts.
Scratcher stuff, yeah, exactly. So I put together a little portfolio of just good drawings that I thought I did at the time. And after like a month of putting that together, I brought it in and showed him, and he was like, oh, this stuff is cool, but we still, don't have a spot for this, for an apprenticeship right now. But, come by whenever you want to kick it or whatever, and you're more than welcome to chill here. So, like, every so often I would, start going over there little by little, more and more and more. And then I would hit him up, like, hey, you're going to be there. Yeah, cool, come through. So me and him started, developing somewhat of a cool friendship. And just after like a few months of me hanging out, he just asked me like randomly one day if I wanted to learn how to pierce. because that's what he did. He was a piercer. So I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm down. Like, gets me a job in here, like, that's cool with me. And he's like, yeah, you can learn how to pierce, make some money while you're here, and you can, watch everybody learn how to tattoo and do all that at the same time. So I was like, cool, works for me. Nice. So yeah, if it wasn't for Triggs, he was the one that like gave me that start in the industry for like working at a real shop, established shop too in the valley, like that's been there for years. So it had a good reputation, it was cool.
How long were you there for?
For a while. I mean, yeah, I was there for probably like, I don't know how many years in total, but I was like learning for like at least 2 years, and then I tattooed. I had my booth after he passed away, unfortunately. That's when that's when I really started tattooing, because I was still an apprentice when he got shot. And then after he had passed, like everybody was coming to the shop all the time wanting to get Triggs memorial tattoos, his name, whatever. So I was, and I was the lettering person at the shop. So they would be like, yeah, I'd have Chavo do it, and that's when I really just started pumping out like a lot of tattoos at that point, like staying busy. And then finally they gave me a booth there.
What a contrast from going from like baseball to Triggs in the shop. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Like this kid that was right. But that's life, homie. Like it's pretty cool the way shit happens like that.
Nah, for sure. It was dope. It was definitely like, I love that shop. It couldn't have been like a better environment, to start at, like just with the people that worked there. It was just such a cool crew, and like having Triggs, it was, and that's how I met him. And like,
and the cool thing about Triggs is he didn't care whether you were, grew up like this or grew up like that. He didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, he was a good dude.
Yeah,
he used to come down. He would come down here and hang out and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, that's cool. And I know you've been fortunate. Well, besides Norm, like you have some, being that, like, I think, including myself, all of us still look at you as the youngster. You know what I mean? And having it in your name's kind of like, and
Yeah.
But I think having people like Huero and Flox and Norm and Triggs and Sleeps, Big Sleeps, like that's a blessing for somebody like yourself. And I think that's needed for, or not needed, but it's just kind of a blessing, and you're fortunate to have it.
Sure.
He got what a lot of people don't get. You know what I mean? Like, especially a lot of the lettering younger generation, his age, maybe even a little younger, nobody was trying to show anybody anything at that point. You know what I mean? We were all doing our thing. We didn't let the younger people come around there, but, oh, could we get a job here? Not that we were trying to keep them out, but we were on our own shit. Triggs was very open about, hey, this kid, you know what I mean? Like, hey, this kid's going to be dope. Hey, this kid, like he would tell Norm, this kid really looks up to you. And even Norm at the time was like, yeah, well, cool, and then fucking Beijing,
keep
and fucking, fucking Borneo, wherever he was going. But then when Triggs passed, it was different. I used to go over to the shop every once in a while. I had a cool relationship with Triggs. We started getting closer and closer, and we were talking a lot more. He was real good friends with my partner, Ruger. When he got out, he would come to our shop, but I had met him a few times, but we weren't really close. And then we started getting closer at that time. And then, he would always bring Chavo up, like, hey, man, you think you can have him come over there with you every once in a while? And, even then I'm like, what do you want me to do with this kid? You know what I mean? Like, what are you asking me to do? And same with Norm. He'd be like,
I think it's almost, I look at it because I work with, as you see, a lot of kids in the building, and you kind of see something in them, or, we vet them like their personality in the street. Who knows you? Who do you know? What type of person are you? But I think it's, even like what we have in the building right now, that's from just being a good motherfucker and being kind and being respectful and learning from each other and giving people their props when it's due. And that's the shit, man. And to have that and to be able to carry shit like that all over the world, it's like, you walk into you know, some of these international events, and it's like they know who the fuck you are. It's like, holy shit, how does this person know? Like, you know,
my first time overseas, it was mind blowing to me.
Yeah. It's good shit, man. But yeah, that's kind of so. How'd you guys
Through Triggs?
Yeah, through Triggs. Yeah, I was going around. Triggs wanted me to come paint a wall there, and then he was asking. He's like, "Bro, could you?" I think I did like a couple days at the shop.
Yeah, that was the first time I met you when you guest spotted
he
over
asked
there.
me to come to the shop, and he's like, "Bro, we need some like high quality artist attention over here." You know what I mean? He's like, "These guys are good. These guys are, you know." But Instagram was just barely popping at the time. I was on Fairfax. Actually, Triggs is the one that got me the job with Norm, which is another random story. But to go back to that, Triggs is the one that put us together. And like I said, he asked a few times, but then after he passed, it was like, all right.
Yeah, Huero started coming around.
Well, now,
you
know
guys,
what I mean?
You're really putting all of us on game with traveling and
It
just
was
like the next level of, you know, because we like we were saying earlier, you know, the crew there like at that time was solid. Like we had dudes that were doing really good black and gray portraits, and like I was doing the lettering, and like we had a cool little mix of like in our team. Yeah,
and good kids too. Not, you know what I mean? Talent only gets you so far, but like you said, just being a good motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know
And
I mean?
and I mean, you've seen it because you've been around tattoo shops and you've been around the industry. Is, you know, there's since they are kids, they're still making mistakes, and you know they're just either, you know, whatever those mistakes may be in their tattooing or in their lifestyle, or, you know, just doing stupid shit like we all did.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, not me. I mean, not I.
Yeah. No, but even the level of stupid, you know, for lack of a better term, stupid shit that they were doing was very acceptable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were, you know, wild
because we've
kids.
been there.
They were getting drunk and fucking people up or fighting, or, you know, people come in the shop tripping, they'd be locking the door and like, okay, that type of shit.
Yeah.
But nothing out of pocket. Nothing that I didn't want to be around.
Yeah.
Fuck it, cool, let's get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me, I think I was introduced to them and I was brought around, and then I was asked something and I didn't know what to do with it or didn't really care to do anything with it at that point. And then when he passed, I was like, fuck, okay. You asked me to do this, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then I started going around and like, okay, now I owe it to him to do what he asked me to do. You know what I mean? And I saw where Chavo was headed, and for lack of a better term, that shop is a hood shop. You know what I mean? There's a salary cap. You know what I mean? And
we're doing $60 names up in there. You know,
like, and the talent and the art and the drive and the hustle was all there, but I was like, all right, let me see what I could do with him over here. You know what I mean? I talked to Norm about it a little bit. We were on Fairfax for a while. That was a whole era. That was fucking amazing.
So that was, I went to that shop a couple times.
That was amazing.
Retina was in and out of there, and then you had
everybody.
You had the Casey was doing his gallery. Right next. That was a great time.
Well, that was that was something you had to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I had never even seen anything like that. And growing up in LA and around
even
LA,
Eric Dressen was tattooed.
Oh, Eric, I worked with Eric Dressen.
Yeah. Eric worked in there.
Bro, it was crazy.
Norm was doing machines in the back. Too.
Yep.
And then Retina painted all over in the floor and the walls.
Yeah, you had
and
the whole
stuff like
the whole run down the hall. Yeah,
that was an iconic time period. I think
we were on Fairfax, next to Supreme, next to Known Gallery. Diamond was a couple doors down. It was before they even bought they actually bought the store next to us. So then we were in between Diamond and Supreme and Known Gallery, and then the Hundreds and Crooks was there, and Seventh Letter was opening their store.
Yeah, and that time too.
Ruka, all that stuff was there, bro. It was before any of the. And if you don't know, then you don't know.
I know
but
what
before
you're
any
say,
of the,
but we'll just leave that.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the people that walked in there, you know, you get active, well-known LA gang members walking in.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It still had an edge.
Yeah. And then you'd get a fucking famous skateboarder, and then you'd get Mac Miller walking in,
some actor,
and then
or
you'd get, like we'd be standing outside smoking a cigarette, and Tyler the Creator and all those guys would run by slapping people and pouring stuff on each other and fucking it was amazing, bro.
That was when Odd Future was just
it was the biggest melting pot.
Yeah, everybody was going to Melrose.
Everybody was there on Fairfax.
Or Fairfax, Fairfax.
Well, I mean, Fairfax. Melrose,
So who was that crew act that was actually in the shop, like had a chair or working in the shop?
At Will Rise, when I showed up, like I said, that was before Triggs passed. I had a shop with Ruger on Sunset or on Hollywood Boulevard in Wilton, actually, and we had the biggest, most beautiful tattoo shop. We had sliding glass doors and fucking $10,000 worth of stone on the walls, and Vile and Retina and Mac and all these different people came and painted it. And it was before Instagram. Nobody knew it was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we started having issues. I probably put $50,000 into that shop on my own. Ruger too, and bro, we had shootouts at the shop. We had fucking, some lady drove a car through our door one night at like 5 a.m. Like,
fuck.
Then the city started getting involved because there was so much attention and so much activity. Triggs got out, and I was like, bro, I'm done. You know what I mean? I thought this was going to change my life. I was going to own a business. I was going to be able to take some time off and make money, and everything went wrong. And he's like, why don't you go work with Norm and them? And I was like, I don't know Norm like that, bro. I had bought a machine. I had finagled a Norm machine from somebody at one point. And then years later, I was at a convention, and some chick was walking around selling Norm machines. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I already got one. I was like, these are great machines. And she's like, really? You have one? I said, yeah. And I showed it to her, and she's like, can I take this? Can I show him? I was like, yeah, all right, cool. So he came back. That's how I met him. He came back to the booth, and he was like, hey, can I buy this from you? I was like, no, I just got that shit. You know what I mean? Like, no, you don't even know what I did to fucking, to get that machine. Like, no. He's like, really? And I said, yeah. And he said, what if I build one for you? No, I'm good. I looked at the machines that he had, and they were a different style. They were, they had like all the holes drilled in them, and it just wasn't my thing at the time. This was like an old Supreme frame, nice machine. And I told him, but I'll make you a deal. If I ever get rid of it, I'll find you and I'll sell it to you. And he was like, okay, whatever. I mean, he didn't know me, so he didn't know I really meant it. But
it was his machine?
He had built it. Yeah, he had built it. He made that machine. It was one of his first ones that he ever made when he was working with Grind.
And you're like, there's got to be a reason.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, part of me. Yeah, part of me. Like, for one, it was the coolest machine I had at that point. But part of me was like, why the fuck you want this so bad? Now it was cooler to me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not giving this to you. You know what I mean? Like, but so then, fast forward years later, I ended up with this shop with Ruger. Triggs got out. I told him, bro, I'm gonna quit tattooing. Like, I lost all this money in this shit. The business wasn't thriving the way I thought, and it was the weed boom in LA. I was like, I had a bunch of homies that were growing weed and doing all. You're making $15,000 a week. Like, what am I over here stressing about? I'm gonna go into this. And Triggs had just gotten out, and he's like, you're tripping. He's like, I just came home. There's people talking about you up there. You have a buzz out here already. Whether the shop's doing well or not, your name is still good, and you're talented. And I'm like, man, whatever. I don't want to hear that. I'm talking about making money.
Yeah.
And he said, go work with Norm. I'll call him. And then even then I was like, nah, bro, because I'm not going to be some fucking friendly favor hire. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that guy like that. And if you call him, he's going to give me a job. And I don't want a job like that. So he called him. And I'm like, bro, and even like, if he had a flip phone, I would have closed it. You know what I mean? But he's like, hey, my buddy Huero, this and that start, and he's like, yeah, bring him by on Tuesday. I had to go make a portfolio. One of my homies got shot while I was printing out pictures. Yeah, it was a fucking nightmare fucking story, all this bullshit. I ended up finally going to the fucking shit with him. I think he had brought it up there, and then I went to your guys' shop and talked about it or something, and then that's when he called Norm. Anyways, I ended up going in, and I walked in the shop with Triggs, and Norm's like, you're the dude that has my machine. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, you still have it? And I said, yeah. And he goes, yeah, you can work here. you know. And I was like,
nice.
you don't want to look at my portfolio, you know? And he's like, nah, I've seen your work before.
Nice.
It's all good. And I was like, man, you don't like. I did a lot to get this fucking portfolio made. You want to check it out? And he was like, no, it's all good. And yeah, then yeah, See that shit that changed everything for me. You know, I know we're getting off of his story. You know
No,
what I mean?
it's all the same thing. That
yeah.
was a good transition.
Yeah. That shit.
It's all intertwined.
Yeah, that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, this was already years into my tattooing career. You know what I mean? Like I had started at, you know, I have a whole career before that, but that was a pivotal moment for me in my career because I had come from neighborhood tattooing shit, hood shops. The first shop I worked at was in Boyle Heights, East LA area.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Like on Cesar Chavez and St. Louis.
It used to be called Brooklyn.
Yeah, it was.
That's where my family.
Yeah,
family.
100%. It's funny when I first started going over there. I'm like, why is there like Brooklyn Tires and Brooklyn Pizza and Brooklyn? You know what I mean?
Cesar Chavez used to be.
It was Brooklyn Avenue. Yeah. And so I was on Chavez, and then, you know, I had that pigeonholed mindset of tattooing and neighborhood shit and all that. When I went to Fairfax,
so you were
right off the freeway.
Oh shit!
Yeah, right off the freeway. You get off on Chavez. You know, you can go to county jail this way, or you turn this way. There's Shakey's Pizza, Boyle Local, our shop.
Yeah.
There's, you know, all the way down to Soto. There's probably 2 shops there, but yeah, it was called City of Angels Tattoo. Mommy Bear. I was out on bail. I was fighting a fucking 15-year. My plea bargain was 15 years for this armed robbery charge. And I was trying to get tattooed as much as possible before I went in there. And one of my homies had gotten some handwriting on his back arms. Fucking beautiful work. And I'm like, how much you pay for that? And he was like, I was like, $300. He charged you $150 for this big ass fucking name on you know? I was like, shit, give me his number. I don't know. He's over here and whatever. So me and like 3 or 4 of my homies went into the shop, and I walked in, and we were at that time, you know what I mean? We stood out. And I was like, hey, is Bear in here? You know, and everybody in the shop kind of looked at each other like, and Bear got up. Yeah, I'm Bear. What's up? You know? And we just hit it off, man. He's a good dude. And he had been tattooing for years, and fucking, I was hanging out at the shop all the time getting tattooed. And then I ended up beating my case. And after that, he's like, well, what are you going to do? Like, you're going to fucking, you know, during the process of me getting tattooed, I brought somebody in that had some writing. And they were like, oh, who did that? He's like, oh, this fool did it. And I think they were like, what do you mean this fool did it? Like, they were like, bro, you tattoo? No. You know, but I write on people once in a while. Like, I don't fucking tattoo. You know what I mean? Like, no. If you know, if somebody, I'll put a machine together or whatever. But they were like, oh, you're tripping. You should be tattooing. You know? And then they were like, bro, you're going upstate for 15 fucking years. What are you going to be doing up there? You know? And I'm like, nah, I'm good. If I go up there, I'm the white kid, you know what I mean? I'm not going to hide behind a tattoo machine, you know what I mean? And I had that stupid mentality, and they were older than me, and they're like, you're fucking retarded. You're not going to go up there with a hustle? What, are you just going to go, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then they were on me about that, and they were like, bro, if you go up there, they're going to love you up there, bro. You're writing, it's going to be easier time for you. And then when I beat the case, they were like, bro, well, what are you going to do? So I just started working at the shop over there. It was great, but it was still on some hood shit. You know what I mean? When I went with Norm and them, like we said, the Fairfax era was like nothing I'd ever seen before. You know what I mean? You got fucking Justin Bieber sitting out in front of the shop on some fucking chrome fucking Maserati. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Next to, 2 Crip homies. You know what I mean? And fucking Retina. You know what I mean? Like standing out front, like.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, selling fucking $1 million paintings and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then
they were a lot less expensive back then.
Yeah.
I got a couple.
You know, I don't know how much they were, but Norm had some shit that.
Man.
But
Norm had a lot.
He had some shit.
Bro, he had the big bus.
Who has all that?
Sleeps, I think, and his mom.
No,
I've seen
Sleeps has some.
I've seen the one.
There's some
Sleeps has some at his warehouse. Yeah.
And the Sleep set up that real nice studio.
Yeah.
Really,
So at the time it was Sleeps, Norm, Eric Dressen, who else worked there? Adam Vu.
I can't remember.
Yeah. This dude Damon from
What about the
He's from
dude
New Zealand.
with the whole Drake shit? What was that dude's name?
Oh, Kevin.
Not Kevin.
Fucking Kevin. Yeah. Kevin did that Drake tattoo on that chick's forehead.
Oh, yeah.
Drake pulled up to that shop.
Drake pulled up to the shop tripping. Actually, he didn't get out of the car. He sent his guys in.
What were they saying?
I wasn't there yet.
Well,
He was there.
Yeah, so I wasn't there that day, or I would have been on TMZ for sure. 'Cause I would have made sure I instigated that into something. You know what I mean? I wasn't there that day. Norm was tattooing, and two big security dudes walked in, and they were like, "Hey, we're looking for Kevin Campbell, I think his last name was." And they're like, "Kevin, you're looking for somebody first and last name in here?" And and I guess Norm called him up. He walked up. They had like a Twitter beef. Like Norm got on, or Drake got on like Power 106 or one of those stations, and talked about the girl with the tattoo and said, you know, I feel bad for her or whatever, but fuck the tattoo artist that did it. I don't fuck with him. He should have never done that. He should have this. He should have that. Said all this shit about Kevin. Kevin, little white kid, used to work in like an area called Harbor City, where it's like a Crip neighborhood. I guess he got in a wreck at one point in his career where some kid came in and wanted a tattoo on his face. He was like, I'm not doing that. And then fucking like 3 of his big homies came in and were like, hey, so you're doing this tattoo on his face. So he was like, all right, fuck it, whatever. So now fast forward to when she walks in and says she wants Drake across her forehead. She has no fucking eyebrows and like chola makeup and all this shit. He was like, I thought it was her neighborhood. I just asked her if she had enough money to get it done and did the tattoo. He's like, I didn't know it was a fucking R&B artist.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Drake said this shit about him on the radio, and he went and made a Twitter and like wrote him back. So they were going back and forth, like arguing on Twitter at the time. And I guess Kevin, like he said something like, I would fuck that dude up if I saw him or something. And so he told Drake, fucking, if I see you, I'm gonna fuck you up. You know what I mean? So they were going back and forth. Security guards came in, and the guys Kevin walks up and they're having words, and I guess Kevin had his hands behind his back while he was talking, and Norm was tattooing, and he said he heard Kevin's knife open, like behind his back. And he stopped tattooing and was like, yo, wait a minute. What the fuck is gonna, wait, who are you? What are you guys doing? And they had Drake outside in the car, and I don't know, whatever. I would have fucking, like I said, I would have instigated the hell out of that shit. But I guess Norm is built different. It turned into a peaceful resolve, and they were hugging and stuff out front. I would have been, I would have went to jail for that. Yeah, for that publicity, I would have, hell yeah, I would have taken it. Oh yeah, 100%. I would have pulled him out of the window of a car or something. And not even because I don't like Drake, but just because at that time in my life, I would have been like, oh, this is going to work. This is going to be some good publicity for the shop. Let me figure this out. You know what I mean? But whatever. Yeah. That's the type of fucking situation that would happen on Fairfax. You know what I mean? Even on La Brea. The La Brea shop, he was able to be around for the tail end of that too. It was when we moved over there, it was the same thing.
What was the La Brea shop?
Next Love Letters was right next to Subi Jeans, and
it was La Brea and do you know Mega from Black Scale?
Black Scale sounds real
clothing brand, dope clothing brand. Couple doors down from Stussy, Union, Undefeated.
Yeah.
Undefeated was across the street. They ended up.
Stussy and Undefeated were right next door to each other. Right?
And then they moved. Undefeated had the small spot there, and then I think they just turned it into like a storage, and they opened the spot across the street. Sugarfish.
Yeah, they had 2. Yeah, Sugarfish was on the corner of.
Yeah. So now you guys have your shop out. You guys are at the same shop, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, we're getting a little.
Timelines.
The Fairfax era was unbelievable.
That was before
I could talk about that for
I didn't even know either of them yet. But when they were all over there at Will.
So that's when Triggs and I started getting close. Art shows, and he was always on the block over there.
Yeah.
I got to meet.
It was very, very high profile.
100%, bro.
He knew everybody, and everybody knew
everybody. And Casey knows everyone on the planet. Right. You know what I mean? Shout out to Casey.
I've known Casey since Casey.
Eclipse.
I met Casey. He's younger than I am, but he used to show up to the early trade shows back in like '94. And I remember he looked like Anthony Kiedis. He had long, long straight hair, real like slim, good looking kid. And he would he was wearing like a fur coat, like a purple fur coat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he just was rocking this like Chili Peppers type thing. And
That's
they were
dope.
like, people thought he was Anthony Kiedis'
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah.
But Casey's been in the mix for forever, ever.
Oh.
But shout
Oh,
out
yeah.
to him and,
Yeah,
and
shout
all the
out
amazing stuff that he's done. And
Amazing
he's a
stuff.
great person, a great leader, and,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
a
the
cultural icon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
for
team
sure.
that he has established all over the fucking world of some of the best artists and most talented people. Man, yeah, shout out to him for sure. But I don't know, me and Casey just hit it off, and so we had a real good relationship. I was over there known, from time to time. We do events there, and then I met Saber and fucking Retina and Fate and those guys. And for me, I lived in Venice for a little while when I was younger, and that shit was unbelievable to me. I'm like, wait a minute, that's fucking Saber, you know what I mean? And that's fucking Retina, and that's I never thought I'd fucking run into those guys. I remember watching people paint in the fucking pit, you know what I mean? And it's funny because later I told a story to Fate, and he was like, bro, I was there. What do you mean? And I was like, I went down there one time with a couple of my homies. We were young, and one of my homies had a new gun, and he wanted to show it to everybody. So, you know what I mean? He walked over to somebody and was like, hey, give me some of your paint. You know what I mean? He was putting it in everybody's face. And I was telling fucking Fate this story, and he's like, I remember that. I was there with Saber, and I was, and we laughed about it, whatever. But it was cool for me to be around these guys. And now they were my peers. They weren't people that were like, that I looked up to. Now it was just fuck. We were all on the
Isn't that
block
a trip
together.
how that happened?
Yeah.
Oh, it was fucking.
And that's exactly how I felt before
And
meeting all these people
yeah.
too. I'm like, these are like the graffiti guys of LA, like everyone knows who these motherfuckers are, and they're killing everything.
The coolest thing for me was that it happened so organically.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And even like my situation with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I met you easy, smooth, between friend, this, that. Hey, how's it? Like super organic, nothing forced, nothing weird. It was
Nobody made a phone call?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I didn't have to. Yeah, but and that's exactly what I mean. Like that's how it was happening over there. And then
it was just I'm not up on like right now. I'm always curious and looking for who's next, what's next. Like where's these youngsters? What styles are happening and what's bubbling, and it's kind of going back to what you said earlier. Is sometimes it's trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
But to take your influences and flip them and kind of add your own touches. And for me, the last year, I'm gonna say the Italian cats are kind of like
they're coming.
Yeah, they're killing it.
Those are the standouts in my head.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like. Those are graffiti kids too.
Yeah.
And on walls they're doing shit that's insane too. Like insane shit.
Yeah. But Europe has always been slept on, in my opinion, by the masses when it comes to stuff like that. Like street culture in Europe, especially if you're from LA or you're from Dago or you're from, like New York or you're from these areas, and you said, oh, there's this dope fucking writer I know, he's from Germany. You'd be like, fuck. He didn't come from the struggle. He didn't come from, but yes, they did.
Yeah, they did.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
part of their struggle is
mean?
it's freezing fucking cold.
Yeah.
It's
Way
snowing,
worse conditions.
and they don't go out. And I've seen it. Like I've been there in the winter, and there's just writers meetings where these dudes are just drawing and plotting and laying out pieces. As soon as they can get some good weather, they're gonna go out and do these crazy productions. And they had back then, before the quality paint was out here, so they were painting with better paint, and then there was way more places for them to paint, legal spots. Then the government assisted programs, like there's all these.
Yeah, they were painting housing buildings on every side of the fucking buildings legally.
Yeah, man, and some beasts, that I was, fortunate early on to go out there and meet people like Dime and Cantu, Seek and all these other German Stowhead and Tossic and just crazy, graffiti writers. But now in tattooing, with social media, again, like you had mentioned earlier, it's made such an impact and such a difference, but it's also kind of polluted some things too.
It's pros and cons.
Yeah,
for sure, pros and cons. When I first started using it, I didn't even have social media until after I was working with Norm and them. And they were already, Norm was famous fucking from VHS.
Street famous,
You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, he had fucking movies out on VHS and all the graph war shit.
That was all the fun shit, dude.
Yeah,
That's you know, as far as that whole era, I always tell people that's what built this brand was VHS and then DVDs. It was everything that happened prior to social media.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because
Your brand for sure.
Yeah.
so
100%.
So people in other parts of the world, they were not exposed to any of these cultures, but it was tattoos or lowriders or breakdancing or graffiti or tattoos. All these elements that we still represent are in those first videos from the early 90s.
Yep.
And then people ask this stupid question to me, why don't you do another tribal video? I'm like, because everything you saw in those videos, you could scroll on your phone for 30 seconds and see that
See it all now.
You're already following. So it's become way harder, way harder to impress people, including myself.
You could definitely.
Here's the thing.
That would be tight.
But that's just social media. I mean,
but you could do it because of the relationships and what you would be able to provide would be the authenticity.
Exactly.
All right. We'll find. Look, you guys let me know if you find a budget and finance, like a producer or something. But I also think that that's a lot of money. That's it. That's a whole other story. That's like my brother right
money.
there.
Yeah, there you go.
Get Netflix.
But I think the scary, interesting thing for me right now, and some people hate it to death, but I'm just kind of like amused and blown away by what AI is doing.
Oh man.
You know, like you just see some of these trippy videos, like this with colorful shit, and they're doing stuff like this is the day of an Aztec, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Fuck?
You see him walk out of a pyramid
shit that's
and
like
fucking hunt.
Crazy, or hallucinate. Like
that AI has taken stuff to the. I wouldn't say the next level, but it's just insane what it can do.
And what's real and what's not real. And that's a whole other podcast in itself. But it's like, it could eventually affect tattooing. So Huero, who were you said this dude Bear, who were your influences like coming up? Like, and now, like, who are the guys that you're like, oh shit?
My earliest influences, which is wild, walking in that room, like Teen Angel magazine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And seeing that, like, I remember being in junior high with Teen Angel magazines and fucking, I was telling one of the kids at the shop the other day, and he's like, oh, I seen the drawings in the Teen Angels. And I was like, I didn't used to look at them for the drawings. We used to look at them because we'd be flipping through the pages and a couple drawings here and there. We have a marker in our hand. We'd be crossing people out and writing.
It was social media before social media.
100%.
Right.
100%. But one of my real close friends, I actually met his dad before I met him. They had me in like some anti-gang program type deal. And he ran one of the programs. We ended up being close. We knew a lot of the same people outside of the program. He would always tell me, like, hey, my son's going to come live with me. Like, you guys will hit it off. He's the same age as you, this, that, and the other. I think we're at, like, a car wash for something, for a fundraiser. I don't know exactly what it was for, but I remember being at a car wash and sitting on, like, a picnic table, and then he brought him over and was like, oh, this is my son. And it was a wrap after that. It was, I was like, oh, he's going to be staying with you? Yeah, done. We were always together. His dad tattooed, like neighborhood stuff, homemade machine, things like that. We were 12, 13 years old with tattoos, and
oh shit.
Yeah.
You were that young when you got your first tattoo?
Yeah.
12?
Yeah. Maybe 13. Yeah. I'd have to fact check that with, what I mean? Yeah. Around there. Yeah. I mean, I was in junior high, PE, changing, and kids would be like, what the fuck? Like, fucking, like, it is what it is. And then, he's in there with me, and he's tatted too. And like, I remember, we were like the fucking ghetto kids with tattoos and, you know what I mean? And I remember one time watching, I was laying on the floor in the living room watching a movie, and he was doing a tattoo at the kitchen table, and I remember hearing the talk about the making of the machine and how I made this machine like this and made this machine like that. And I think I was already done watching the movie. I was like, all right, what do you mean show me how to make a machine? Like, fuck all this fucking, you know what I mean? Like, show me how to make it. He drew it out on a piece of paper. I think it was like a pen on a napkin type deal. I was at Radio Shack and busting things apart the next day, and yeah, I was tattooing at the park, like fucking neighborhood shit. So he was definitely my first influence. You know what I mean? And but it wasn't a career thing. In my head, I never thought, well, I'm gonna do this for a living. You know, I never. It was just another element, like you guys talk about elements of hip hop, elements of it. That's another element of the streets. You know, tattooing is, in my opinion, probably the unsung fucking element of hip hop. You know what I mean? Because they'd say graffiti and breakdancing, and you know that turned into gangs and gang culture and all that. But still, the tattooing transcends all of those. You know what I mean? But then I got around people that were tattooing. I remember being around some guys from Individuals and Rollers Only, and there was a truck car club called Just for Looks, and they had a LA Super Show that I went to the night before to go help set up. I was young, fucking. Couple of my the father was a member of one of those clubs. A couple of my homies, we all went there, and there was somebody that had a tattoo on his arm from Abel Rocha. And Abel had done a bunch of murals on these fucking cars. Amazing, beautiful. You know what I mean? I had seen some of the other Abel's murals, things like that. But somebody showed me this tattoo, and it even got to the point where I think I asked to see it so many times that the guy was like, "Hey, fucking," you know, and I'm like,
back.
"Yeah, you know what I mean?" Like I was just standing there looking at
your arm
exactly, yeah, like get this fucking little white kid away from me. You know what I mean? But it was night and day from anything I had ever seen before. You know what I mean? The thing about Abel's girls, they were fucking beautiful. You know what I mean? Like the shit that he was doing with airbrushes, the shit that he was doing with tattoos. Yeah, unbelievable shit. Shit that, you know what I mean? Both Abels were way ahead of their time. You know what I mean? Cartoon as well. Cartoon, yeah, he draws those cute cartoon chicks. Abel draw beautiful women that look like, you know, fucking a picture of a woman. You know what I mean? And I like both styles. I think they're both amazing. But those were the first tattoos that I was like, I'm gonna start doing this type of shit. You know what I mean? I want to try and do this type of shit. And you know, clowns and fucking all that hood
LA
stuff.
shit,
LA shit, real LA shit. And I mean, I was doing it on people, like I said, at parks and fucking apartment complexes and fucking no gloves, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Nobody was telling me shit. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
one needle.
Yeah.
100%, bro. Burn it. That cleans it, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like fucking yeah. But then I got around some people that were real tattooers. I was supposed to get an apprenticeship. I had kind of, but see, I drove around every once in a while, and I'd try and go into tattoo shops and ask for apprenticeships and things like that. And you know, I would always complain, like, man, nobody will give me a shot. Well, I'd be driving down the street with 5 of my homies in the car, and be like, "Hey, pull over."
Well, maybe that's why they weren't giving
and
you a
walk
shot.
in,
Like,
and we'd all walk in and be like, "Hey, what's up, man? Who's hey, you know?" And
that's
fucking
gonna work.
Exactly. I guarantee
See,
you.
I think Chavo's approach was a little bit
100%. You know what I mean? 100%.
See, it wasn't so bad after all.
Yeah, no, he had it right. He reached out on Facebook. You know what I mean? I was in your face.
He
like,
wrote a letter like,
Yeah.
excuse me, sir.
Good job, eh?
Yeah. No, for real. I probably still
Go
talk
in
like
with
that.
5 dudes.
Yeah. No, I definitely probably still talked like that. And I mean, we were the way we looked, the way we dressed, like they were probably like, yeah, that's the last fucking element we need in here.
Yeah.
If he came in here with like that for the fucking interview, how's he going to be here every day? You know what I mean? But I was still, you know, in a box the way I thought of things. And that's a big thing with Norm. Like those guys, man, being around, I think being in the East LA shop gave me drive, gave me, you know, like the hustle and I got a taste of making a little bit of money. Yeah. Oh, bro, clowning, shootouts, fucking, bro, it was fucking, yeah. But that was regular for me. That was like, okay, now I can get paid to do the shit we're doing anyways. You know what I mean? I had tasted a little bit of drug money before, but that's different. I had seen a lot of what comes with that. You know what I mean? And it was obvious, you know what I mean? Okay, you don't see many winners in that game, you know what I mean? And when I got to be able to draw and make money, it was totally different. Like, I don't have to worry about anything. There's no stresses. It was a total different like freedom. But I was still in the hood with everybody. You know what I mean? Different area. It wasn't my area, but I still, you know what I mean? I used to feel some type of way about East LA. You know what I mean? Being like a West Side kid and being in South Central and even in the Valley, East LA was, And then I was over there and I fucking loved it. You know what I mean? The way the people embraced me over there, it was great. My homie Barrow was from South Central. I was staying in South Central and the Valley back and forth, and we were in Boyle Heights. And he hated doing lettering. And he's from a huge gang where all of them want to come in and get lettering. So he's like, bro, every one of my homies that comes in here, you're doing it. You know what I mean? And then we're in the birthplace of gangbanging. You know what I mean? And everybody that came in the door there wanted lettering. So I was just, you know what I mean? I worked really hard, made a cool little name for myself over there. And then I actually went and visited a shop out in the Valley, and Alex Garcia worked there and a couple other artists, and that changed everything for me too.
The one on Ventura Boulevard?
No. That's Dolorosa. Yeah. That's where they're at. It's him and Chris Paez and a bunch of other talented artists are there. But it was a shop called Needle Pushers. It's still there. A dude named Rance owns it.
It's like an OG Valley shop.
Yeah. There's a lot of history behind that shop too. Sadly, a young man lost his life there at an art show, and there was a whole fucking America's Most Wanted behind that and a bunch of stuff. And, you know what I mean? A lot of controversy with that. That was before my time. But that was the most art I'd ever seen in one building, one little room. Like, the booths were about this big. They had some of the dopest shit on the walls, not even hanging. Like, these guys, Alex painted one of the booths. Yeah, it was inspiring to say the least. I had met some dude that I worked at a shop briefly, and he started working there, and he's like, hey, you got to come check the shop out. And then I went back to East LA, like, what the fuck are we doing over here, bro? You know what I mean? Like, this is bullshit. Like, I'm just literally writing on people to set them up for failure. These guys are doing crazy artwork over here. And so I went out there. I've told myself I was going to get a job there, and I just figured it out. I just started hanging out there to a point where, but I took everything neighborhood and brought it over there with the art shit and started developing my own style as far as, like, I don't want to just do the same old English or the same block letters or the same, you know what I mean? So there was so much art influence there. I could name everybody there, but everybody had their own style. Everybody had their own, and then those guys left to open the shop that you're talking about.
Doloroso.
Yeah, it was that one. And then they opened another one called the Clandestine Rabbit. So everybody kind of split up and went different ways. And I was there with a couple other people. And then now it was like, there's new people coming in. And it was like, people were like, well, you've been here, like, fuck, I'm brand new here still. But I was like one of the fucking older guys at the shop now all of a sudden. So I felt like I just had to get it cracking. You know what I mean? And yeah, that shit was cool too. Like I was able to change and adapt my style to bring more of the art aspect into it. You know what I mean? Graffiti. It was like an MTA shop. You know what I mean? Everybody was fucking taggers up until the point when I was there. But it was cool. It was really cool. But
so what about now? Who do you see out there like now that is like the oh shit guys?
As far as lettering or just period?
Period.
As far as lettering, Alexi, the dude that's out there, he's probably one of my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Edmar, obviously, you know what I mean?
Love
fucking Edmar. Yeah. And it's cool too, because I was gonna go back to my influences. Once I got in that East LA shop, it was like I learned about Jack Rudy, and I learned about fucking those people that had pioneered, even Franco. You know what I mean? I learned about their work. I had never had any real tattoo knowledge, and Bear knew what was up with that type of shit. You know what I mean? And I heard Jack Rudy's story, and I was like, damn, that's whack. There's some other dude called Huero already that's fucking right here in East LA that does lettering. You know what I mean? I was like, damn, that's kind of Like I almost wanted to change my name type of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now I embrace it. Now I think it's cool, especially because I have a good relationship with Jack. You know, and he's like, oh, call you Huero, huh? You know, and like, fuck yeah.
Nobody could ever be mad at Jack.
Nah, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not at all. Jack's the shit.
He really is.
Yeah, he is. He's the shit. But anyways, yeah. Back to your question. Like, who do I see now? Sadly, social media, like you said, I can scroll for 5 minutes and see some of the most amazing shit I've ever seen. And everybody kind of runs together now. You know what I mean? Like, I find it hard to remember people's names.
Yeah.
Sometimes your name isn't the same as your Instagram name. And then I really don't know who the fuck you are. You know what I mean? But if I don't have a personal relationship, there's a few people that stick out. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, my influences were Jose Lopez and Jack Rudy.
Sounds like they're having a party out there.
Yeah, right? And even Flox. I remember seeing Flox shit like in magazines and stuff. And when I met Flox, I didn't like him. I came down here, somebody introduced me to him, and it was at a convention, and they introduced me to him real quick, and he did like oh, hey, what's up, man? Okay, you know, and I was like, oh.
He rock starred you?
Yeah, I was like, cool guy, okay, yeah, fuck this dude. And
weren't we talking about that downstairs a little bit?
Probably.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is the next time I came to San Diego, I did a convention, and I think I posted that I was going to be here, and Flox hit me up, and he's like, I'm going to pull up. And I was like, so what? You know what I mean? Like, what are you hitting me for? And then he hit me, and he's like, yo, I'm here. And I remember looking and being like, okay. He's like, come outside, you know? And I was like, and I walked outside, and it was just him. And he's like, what's up, man? I'm like, what's up? You know, and he's like, oh, I just came you're in my city. I wanted to, you know, he's like, I follow your work. I fuck with you. And I was like, oh, this isn't the dude I thought he was at all. You know what I mean? Like, at all. And then now that I do conventions, I realize what happened.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Being in those environments, bro, they become really stressful.
Come on.
And then you're being, I don't know the right word, or
sensory overload. Yeah.
Sensory overload, and you're trying to remember who's who, what's that? I know this guy, I don't know what's. And then as you get older, that shit gets even more difficult.
It's very difficult for me now.
And then you don't want to be a dick.
Yeah,
you don't want to rock star somebody.
Yeah.
You truly want to remember everybody, but it's kind of fucked up. I don't know if it's fucked up or if it just feels fucked up when somebody goes, you don't remember me, huh?
Yeah.
What, like, I'm like, and they start on your shit, and they're like, oh, motherfucker, it ain't like that at all.
I tell people that all the time.
I wish I could remember, or I wish, you know, that I had that memory, but maybe if it was a different scenario, I would know exactly who you are.
Yeah.
And I would, maybe if I was in your environment, I'll remember, like, oh yeah.
Especially at like conventions and stuff, it's not an intimate environment where you're like, as if you're tattooing somebody, it's just you and that person, you know, up close, and you're talking to them. Like, if you just meet some, you know, random people here and there, it's hard to,
Bro, I have clients that I spend fucking hours with that I see out in
public.
And
even like, that's what I was going to say. And even then, sometimes you still don't remember all of them.
And and it doesn't have anything to do with them.
No, as a person,
we might have had a great experience. I might have been going through something on my phone. I might have, you know what I mean? Like,
but I was focused on tattooing your neck.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember your face.
Yeah,
I'll remember the tattoo.
Usually when people start talking to me, I'll be like, oh, okay, how's the tattoo doing? Not let me see what I did on you, but I'll be like, how's the tattoo? As soon as they show me, I'll be like, bro, how's your grandma doing? You know what I mean? I'll remember she was in the hospital. I'll remember it was your kid's 6th birthday. It'll all come back as soon as I see the tattoo.
Not how's Drake doing?
Yeah. Apparently he's not doing too well. Yeah. He had a good couple years after that, but I don't think he's doing too well now.
For time, Johnny?
We're good. Whatever. We're
good.
I think over now.
So I think we're gonna wrap because we got these guys, but you guys got to come back.
And part 2.
Oh no, we could talk about it.
And you guys are always, you know this, like, just know this. You're always welcome to come here if you want to book San Diego appointments. This is you guys are always welcome here, and you know, this is your home in San Diego. So, but man, thanks for coming down.
Thank you for having us, bro.
You know, I don't know what the hell's happening in that room right now.
You left the bottles out.
Let the tequila's flowing.
I guess that was my bad. I just didn't want them to get bored out there. But I guess sounds like they Did it get quiet?
It did.
They're all outside.
Oh, they're probably outside
Fox
now.
made everybody go out and smoke with them.
Probably. But man, dude, yeah, both you guys, you know, real interesting stories, and you know, I encourage you to check out some of the other episodes. Like anybody that's listening to this, there's some, you know, a lot of people you mentioned are in there.
Stay trying to find new podcasts.
We're gonna do. We're gonna start.
I think you'll like. You know, the episodes that a lot of the people that we spoke about.
I already heard. Like you just saying who your last guest was.
Yeah. B Baby.
Yeah. I'm late to that party. She's dope.
She really is.
Yeah, she's dope.
An amazing story that really, and he's you know, one of my best friends too is OG Abel.
Yeah.
Listen to that one.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
I would love to.
I would love to hear
that one.
I would love to hear
and
that.
his memory and the things that I know about him from when I met him and things that I've seen being with him and the travels and the stories that he has and some of the photographs I've seen and knowing his family, his upbringing, and where he's at now. And it's super cool because his son was in my son's wedding. Like our kids all grew up together.
That's
like
dope.
It's super cool
dope.
like to see stuff like that. But he's an amazing story. There's all kinds of real good stories in there, but you know, check that out.
Yeah, for sure.
Not just you guys, but the listeners too. Yeah, man. We lag on them, but like I said before, not just to you guys, but the listeners, we really try to keep them relevant to what we're about. People within our circle, our industry, people we think that are interesting and that we should have on the podcast. Johnny,
what's up? It's been a long time, and I'm tired. I'm getting old.
Yeah.
I've seen longer.
Hopefully you got one more in you.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, no doubt. I just need a drink.
All right,
possibly.
there we go.
If there's a
Shot real quick,
Thanks again. Young Chavo, your IG. What's your IG?
YUNG _ Chavo. Young Chavo without the O.
Huero.
Tattoo _ Huero with the H. HUERO.
In loving memory tattoo.
Yeah.
Johnny Be Good.
Yes, sir.
Bobby Tribal. Lord Left Podcast. San Diego, California. Go Padres.
I was just about to say it too. I was about to sneak it in there. Like, go Dodgers. Go.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens next.
It's all in the lower left. That's all in the lower left. Dodgers, Padres, here we are.
It's all love.
That's right.
It's all love.
Right on. Lower Left Podcast. We out.